Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss The Lobster, starring Colin Farrell, Rachel Weisz, Jessica Barden, Olivia Colman, Ashley Jensen, Ariane Laid, Angeliki Papolia, I don't know if I said that wrong, please forgive me, Leah Sedeo, Michael Smiley, and Ben Whishaw, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. Now, before I get into this movie, I'm kind of the newbie to this director, as I did review The Favorite back when it was nominated for an Oscar. I think it was 2018 or 19. I forget which one that was. But yeah, let's so I'm kind of the newbie to this movie as well as next movie, and I haven't seen Poor Things yet, so we'll see how that goes. But other than that, I have seen The Favorite. I'm not going to review it again because I reviewed it back when it was nominated for an Oscar. So let's get into this movie. We open the movie with the shooting of a donkey, which was a very disturbing scene, and it served no point into this movie whatsoever. As we move on to David, played by Colin Farrell, and he talks up with a hotel clerk while his dog is present he moves into a hotel with a manager, played by Olivia Colman, and gets guided to his room by the maid, played by Ariane Laid. And I get the impression this is a hotel for depressed people, as there's men and women in the building, and this beginning is very fucking confusing. Like, I was confused about who he was talking to, as the movie doesn't show names, as that bothered me so badly. David has to pick an animal he wants to be, and he picks a lobster, I'll say, because he wants to have a 100-year life, and he's a good swimmer. And I'm thinking, so that's why this movie is called The Lobster to begin with. That makes sense. While he tries to take off his pants in order to go to sleep, but his pants with his belt are locked up so he doesn't jerk off, which is a rather random reason. And he sees a nosebleed woman, played by Jessica Barden, at the breakfast room, as well as a lisping man, who is played by John C. Reilly, who he ends up friending with, and the actors give good performances, and the movie is well made. But so far, I'm kind of cold on the movie because nothing is really happening while we're getting to know the characters. But honestly, they're pretty careless. I'm not getting the point of this movie, but I get the title of it. But I'm not really sure what is supposed to be about. Like, the first half of the movie is at the hotel, while the second half later on is in the forest, and the cinematography looked kind of plain. They're at a dance for the hotel, and David dances with the nosebleed woman for a little bit, while the lisping man is dancing with the careless woman. And the other friend, the limping man, played by Ben Whishaw, is tired from dancing, and the fire alarm goes off, and they go hunting. And the limping man confesses he used to be a good runner, but not anymore because he limps, as they get to the forest and shoot up some people in the forest, led by a loner leader played by Leah Seydoux later in the film, who will be shown later, like I said. And the movie is very slowly paced for a 2-hour movie, and it's infuriating how this is a 2-hour limit to end it, as some of these scenes could be in the editing room floor. They show what happened when you're alone versus with someone, which is when you're alone, you die, and when you're out on your own, you're raped. And if you're with someone, your life is saved, while David doesn't want to do an appointment with the maid where he gets an eruption. And I think she's raping him to get an eruption, as the lisping man was told he was masturbating and getting punished by putting his hand in a toaster to burn. And this felt like a crooked hotel for the criminally insane. That was a real problem with the movie, in my opinion. David, the limping man, and the lisping man talk before going on a hunt at night time, while David talks with a young woman whom he doesn't want to talk to giving the dog some biscuits, and wants a suitable partner or else she'll kill herself. As we go back to David, the lisping man, and the limping man, while the lisping man wants them to turn into a parrot so they can be together, and have a mild fist fight with the limping man, choosing the nosebleed woman as a suitable partner. And they talk about swimming, and they suddenly become connected as he bleeds from the nose, and David tells him he breaks his own nose to have a nosebleed. Now Ow. That is fucking painful, as this movie makes painful choices, like them being connected and eventually have a child together, which is questionable. It's like Frozen's message, which was marrying a person who they just met, which is a real problem with life. And that was a problem in this movie as well, at least a couple of times. David keeps Nosebleed Woman's best friend company, and she, along with the Nosebleed Woman, have a meeting with the hotel manager while she reads a letter to her best friend, and the best friend slaps the Nosebleed Woman, which was rather fucking random, which is one thing this director is good at. It's pulling off random moments, but it doesn't mean I always like it, as I didn't like it in The Favorite, and I didn't like it here either, as he really needs to knock it off with that. The woman David was talking to earlier kills herself as she bleeds to the ground to death and chats with his suitable partner, and they become a couple now, which is again really random and creepy as they sleep together, and that's like again what Frozen said. And see the limping man and the nosebleed woman and their daughter Elizabeth, and they fuck like crazy. And she off screen kills the dog, and I hate her for that. And she wants to take him to the hotel manager as he escapes and kills her with the maid's help. And runs into the forest to begin a new life there, and he's taken by the loner leader. And I don't like where they went with that, nor where they go in the future, for example. They can't fall in love with each other, or else there will be consequences. And that's going to annoy me for the rest of the movie. David meets the short sighted woman played by Rachel Weisz as she narrated half the movie, and they meet while practicing hunting, and he bumps into the lisping man with a gun, and the short sighted woman comes in and stabs him in the leg, and he shoots his leg and gets her favorite food, which happens to be rabbits, to eat it as a thank you for saving my life, kind of thing. And David steals his clothes, and their romance wasn't very believable, as I expected better from Rachel Weisz and Colin Farrell as well. So than this and The Favorite, which Weisz was in and Farrell was not. David, along with the short-sighted woman and the loner leader and another guy, go to a mall to shop while David witnesses a crime scene and is stopped by a security guard to see his identification papers as the short-sighted woman comes in and saves his life, and they walk out together and go to the loner leader's parents' place to have some tea together. And the scenes in the city are finally shot, but I'm just bored at this point. David and the short-sighted woman get to know each other as he learns she's short-sighted at the age of 16, while David got it when he was 12 years old. And I'll give the writing this, as I did like that little piece of dialogue, but I'm afraid that's all the compliments I have for this movie. David and the short-sighted woman, as well as the loner leader, break into the hotel, where they get into the manager room and hold the hotel manager to pretend to shoot her dead, which was kind of clever, while David tells the nosebleed woman and Elizabeth the limping man fakes his nose bleed, while the nosebleed woman slaps him, and Elizabeth gives her mother a knife to kill David. And I didn't like that scene too much, as that could have been in the editing room floor. They dance in the forest, and David and the short-sighted woman have a talk about who gets to bring rabbits to her after another man brought her some rabbits, and he asks the other man some questions and checks his eyeballs, which freaked me out, as I have a phobia of eyeballs in the general, which made me not so comfortable with that scene. And they learn language without talking to one another as they go to the leader's parents' place. David and the short-sighted woman kiss, and the leader slaps them and says, "Have some respect for my parents," as this movie was really fucking random, but it doesn't mean I like it. David and the short-sighted woman decide to leave the forest to go to the city alone, and the leader finds out by a note they found at a river, as she takes the short-sighted woman to a doctor to get her eyes removed, as she becomes blind because they fell in love with one another, while the leader asks David to bury himself, which is stupid. While he was warned about this from the very beginning of when he joined the forest, as this movie makes some moves that are not relatable and they're bullshit to begin with, as it makes all the wrong moves for a doomed reason that I can't believe happened for the rest of the movie. The short-sighted woman kills the messenger, while the leader pretends to die and gets back up and leaves the short-sighted woman as David finds out she is blind while at the river, and David buries the leader and has dogs eating her and tearing her up, and they leave the forest immediately, and he helps her escape from the buses from the hotel, which is a scary situation to go blind by a forceful leader. Well, she learns things while being blind, and they end up at a diner as the movie ends, and I'm thinking this climax is a what the fuck? Is that the ending, really? I mean, it was a terrible. I mean, what a terrible fucking ending. Just like The Favorite. Now it's time for my rating. I'll give this movie a 4.7 out of 10. Don't get me wrong, the movie is well made, but the beginning of the movie confused the hell out of me as who the fuck was David talking to between his wife and a hotel clerk, and as they never show it, which bothered me badly, while the writing in this was plain and crooked, which is a real problem in my opinion. Like, that first shot of the movie was so pointless, and it didn't need to be in this movie whatsoever. The characters were careless and bland that I don't care what ends up happening to them by the end of the day, as some of the scenes could be in the editing room floor, as it should have been an hour and, like, I don't know, 45 to 50 minutes, but it went through almost the 2 hour limit. Like 10 to 15 minutes of it could have been cut out of it. If poor things in the killing of a sacred deer end up like this in The Favorite, oh boy, I'm in for a bumpy ride, as I've never liked this, nor The Favorite, as I don't like this, or The Favorite, as the movies I reviewed and those are the movies I reviewed from this director, and I didn't really like how, as they're well made, but the endings are like, what the fuck? As is that it? I mean, really, I just don't care. As that's my problem. As there's times it was random, but it doesn't mean I like the movie. As I'm giving this a mild non-recommendation because I didn't really care for this movie, as this and The Favorite are really badly ended. And again, I just don't care. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next time I will be back with The Killing of a Sacred Deer. And until then,